Welcome back to my channel. How do you change fraction to decimal? Decimal to percent? Or what about fraction to percent? I got you. Let's get into it right now.
It's like every day.
So here's a table I put together. I just took a few fractions, put some fractions in the fraction segment, decimals in the decimal segment, and a percentage there. So sometimes we might have to flit between fraction to percent, decimal back to fraction, decimal to percent, right? Just so we can see how we can distinguish between these conversions. So let's go for the first one. So we have 4/5 here, and we want to see what is 4/5 in decimal and what is that also in percent. So the first thing you have to do, and I'm going to write it down here, is 4/5, right? We want to convert that to decimal. So you have to divide that, right? So 5 into 4, right? So can that go? So we know that doesn't go because 5 is too big. So it doesn't go. So we're going to put a 0 here and a decimal. And then we're going to also put a 0 on the 4 to make it 40. So now we ask ourselves, how many times does 5 go into 40? Well, it goes 8 times, because 8 times 5 is 40. So here you can see that while we were working it out, we are already converting it to a decimal. So the decimal of 4/5 is 0.8. So I'm going to put that in here. And then we want to convert this decimal now to a percent. So what is that in percent? So one of the tricks here is that you move the decimal, because we want to change it to percent, is 2 places to the right, because we want to multiply by 100. So 100 has 2 zeros in it, right? So we need to multiply that by 100, which is 2 sets of 10. When you move your decimal, you're moving it to multiplying it by a 10, and then you're multiplying it by a 10 again, right? So that's going to become 80%. Because when you move the decimal, it's going to move 1, 2, and when there's a gap, you put a 0 there, right? So that's how that becomes 80%. Let's move on to the next one. So here they give us as 20%, but we don't know what that is in decimal, or what is the fraction, right? So if we go from the other way, we can say, let me just put 80% here so you can see the conversions as we go along. Now, if we have 20%, we want to put that into a decimal. So what we do is you divide by 100. And the trick there is by just moving the decimal 2 places to the left, right? So when you multiply, you move it 2 places to the right. And when you divide by 100, you move it 2 places to the left. So this will become, if we was to move it 1, 2, so this will become 0.2, because the decimal has now moved 2 places to the left to make it 0.2. And then now, if we want to make it into a fraction, what place is this in? So you can see, if you know the place values of decimals, the first place after the decimal is the 10th place. T-E-N-T-H, the 10th place. So this is now 2/10. So as a fraction, you write 2/10, but then this needs to be reduced down to its lowest terms. So we're going to use the 2 times table. All right, so 2 goes into itself once, 2 goes into 10 5 times. So now we can fill in the table, right? So the fraction for 20% is 1/5, because we have that here, and the decimal is 0.2. All right, let's go for the third one. So we have 0.05. We want to make this into a fraction. Well, what place value is this in? So after the 10th place of the decimal, the next place is the 100th place. 10th hundredth. So this is 5 hundredths. So if we write 5 hundredths here, We know that this can be reduced because in the 5 times table you have a 5, and you can go up to 100 in the 5 times table as well. So we are going to divide this by 5. So 5 goes into itself once. 5 goes into 100 20 times. Right? So that was that. And that is, I'm going to bring down this 0.05 here. And then now we want to convert that into a percent. So we move the decimal, right? So we want to make it into a percent. So we multiply by 100, and you just simply move the decimal 2 places to the right, which will make 5%. So let's fill the table in. So 0.05, so we establish in the fraction, that's 1 over 20. And then percent, it is 5%. And the last one, 3/4. 3/4 is quite a familiar fraction. So 3/4, let's move the paper and let's do it down here. 3/4 or 3/4. So what is that? We do the same thing like we did up here, and we're going to divide the 4 into the 3. So can 4 go into 3? No, it cannot, right? So if it cannot go, we put a decimal, 0 decimal, and then we put a 0 on the 30. How many times does 4 go into 30? Let's think. Okay, so we have 7, right? So 7 times 4 is 28. We can't go over 30. So 7 times 4 is 28. How far are you away from 30? You are 2 away. So you put the 2 there and you put a 0 on it. So now we ask, how many times does 4 go into 20? And it goes 5 times. So we've established the decimal for the 3/4, which is 0.75. Now we have to turn that into a percent. So we move the decimal 2 places to the right, which will give us 75%. So let's fill our table in. So 3/4 in decimal is 0.75, and percent is 75%. So what do you think? I hope that the conversions and the tricks that I put in this video will help you to do the conversions next time. Like, comment, and subscribe with that notification bell so you know every time I upload, which is every Wednesday. And I'll see you next time in another math video. Thank you for watching. Class dismissed.